Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we take complex financial jargon and make it sound like gossip at the water cooler. And today we're diving into a company that might be making a big splash. Imagine a company buying another company for billions. That is the headline from the CLOROX company's latest report. We're going to unpack what this means for CLOROX, especially with their recent acquisition, and what to watch out for in their future. And hey, if you love getting the real scoop behind corporate announcements, make sure you are subscribed. We also have a fantastic community over on Discord, so check that link in the description below. So, the first thing that jumps out is the date. This report is filed on the 22nd of January 2026, but it is talking about events that happened as early as the 17th of January. This is pretty common for these kinds of filings, but it tells us we're getting information that is very fresh, right as things are unfolding. We're talking about the CLOROX company, the folks behind those bleach bottles, and many other household brands you probably have in your pantry. They've made a pretty big move, and this report is all about it. Now, CLOROX is a publicly traded company, meaning its stock can be bought and sold on exchanges. Their most common stock, the regular shares that most people would own, is traded on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol CLX. This is important because it means everything they do, especially significant acquisitions, can impact their stock price and how investors feel about them. Okay, so what is the big news? CLOROX announced a deal to buy GOJO Industries Inc. You might know GOJO better as the maker of Purell hand sanitizer. Think about all those little bottles you see everywhere. CLOROX is making a major play to add that to their portfolio. They put out a press release and an investor presentation on their website about this deal. This is where the juicy details of the GOJO acquisition are laid out. On the 22nd of January 2026, CLOROX announced they signed an agreement to buy all of GOJO Industries Holdings Inc. This is a massive deal, with CLOROX agreeing to pay $2.25 billion in cash. That is a lot of money. They also mentioned that this includes anticipated tax benefits worth about $330 million, which is a nice little bonus. CLOROX plans to pay for this mostly by borrowing money, essentially taking on debt. As with any big acquisition, this deal still needs to get approval from regulators and meet some other conditions before it is officially done. Now, when a company buys another one for billions, it is natural to ask how this will affect their finances. The report mentions that CLOROX released a press release reaffirming their fiscal year 2026 outlook for net sales, diluted earnings per share or EPS, and adjusted EPS. This means even with this huge acquisition on the horizon, they're telling investors they still expect to hit their financial targets for the year. That is a sign of confidence, but we'll have to see how things play out. This next part is super important and something you'll see in almost every filing like this. It is the forward-looking statement section. Basically, CLOROX is telling you that a lot of what they're saying about the future, like their plans for GOJO, the expected impact on their sales and profits, and when the deal will close are just predictions. They're based on management's best guesses and beliefs right now. They're using words like could, may, expects, and anticipates to signal that these are not guarantees. And they list out a whole bunch of risks that could make this deal fall apart or not turn out as planned. This is crucial for investors to read. For example, they mention the risk that the conditions for closing the deal, like getting regulatory approval, might not be met. There is also the risk that the integration of GOJO into CLOROX might be messy, or that the expected benefits and cost savings might not happen. They even talk about potential lawsuits related to the acquisition. Beyond the GOJO deal, CLOROX is also flagging a lot of external risks that could affect their business. We're talking about things like global economic problems, unstable political situations around the world, inflation, disruptions in supply chains, labor shortages, and just general uncertainty. They specifically mention ongoing conflicts and rising tensions in the Middle East, Ukraine, and between China and Taiwan as factors that could impact their business. This shows they're aware of the bigger picture and how it can affect even a household brand company. They also highlight the risks in their core business. Can they keep coming up with new products that people want to buy? Can they adapt to the changing way people shop, like online stores and different retail models? And are they facing tough competition? These are the everyday challenges that even a company like CLOROX has to deal with. Remember how I mentioned they're funding the GOJO deal with debt? Well, they're clearly stating here that their level of debt and their credit rating could affect how their business runs and how they perform financially. If they take on too much debt, it could make it harder to get more loans in the future or could increase the cost of borrowing. And finally, they wrap up by reiterating that they don't promise to update you if these predictions change. This is standard legal language, but it is a reminder that information can change quickly. And overseeing all of this, signing off on the report, is Angela Hilt, their Executive Vice President, Chief Legal and External Affairs Officer, and Corporate Secretary. She is making sure all the legal ducks are in a row for this big announcement. So, what is my take on all of this? CLOROX is making a bold move. acquiring GOJO for a hefty sum. On the one hand, buying Purell, a brand that has seen massive growth and awareness, seems like a smart strategic move, especially with the ongoing focus on hygiene. It diversifies their product lines and taps into a market that has proven its resilience. The fact that they're reaffirming their financial outlook suggests they believe this acquisition won't derail their current performance, which is positive. However, the amount of debt they're taking on is definitely a point to watch, with all the economic and geopolitical uncertainties they themselves highlight. A heavy debt load could become a significant burden if conditions worsen. They've laid out a lot of risks, and while that is standard practice, it is a long list, covering everything from integration challenges to global instability. Their ability to successfully integrate GOJO, realize those anticipated synergies and tax benefits, and manage their increased debt will be key. The opportunity lies in the potential for cross-selling and leveraging Clorox's established distribution networks to further boost GOJO's already strong brand. The risk is that the economic headwinds or any hiccups in the integration process could negate these benefits. And the sheer size of the acquisition means it can't be brushed aside as a small blip. In conclusion, Clorox is taking a calculated risk, betting big on hygiene and hand sanitization, continuing to be a major consumer focus. It is a move that could pay off handsomely. But it also introduces new layers of financial and operational complexity. We'll be keeping a close eye on how they navigate this transition. Alright, that is our deep dive into the Clorox company's latest regulatory filing. What do you think of this GOJO acquisition? Does it make sense to you? Or are you worried about the debt? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us out. And of course, subscribe for more corporate decoder sessions. Don't forget to join our community Discord. Link is in the description. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.